The champagne flute shattered against the hardwood floor. A jagged scream of glass that silenced the graduation party's hum. I stood frozen, my wife's, ex-wife's, laughter slicing through the crowd as she toasted with her colleagues, her doctoral gown billowing like a dark sail. To freedom, she said, her voice bright, venomous, and shedding burdens. The room chuckled, oblivious to the divorce papers she'd pressed into my hand an hour ago, her smile sharp as a scalpel. I signed them on the spot, my pen shaking, and walked out into the humid Tennessee night, leaving behind the house we'd built, the life we'd sworn to share. 3 years later she found me, through university records of all things, begging to talk. I hadn't answered a single call, email, or letter since. Not one. The air in that banquet hall had been thick with summer sweat and perfume, the kind of evening where every breath felt borrowed. I'd stood by the dessert table, my tie strangling me, watching Emily glide through her colleagues like a queen anointed. Her PhD was her crown, her academic triumph the throne she'd chased for a decade. I'd been proud once, her late nights, her tear-soaked drafts, her whispered fears of failure all woven into our marriage. I'd cooked dinners, proofread chapters, held her when the weight of it crushed her. But that night her eyes didn't seek mine. They lingered on Dr. Marcus Hale, her advisor, his hand brushing her elbow as they laughed over some private joke. I told myself it was nothing, a mentor's pride, a shared victory. But the way her fingers grazed his sleeve, the way her laugh tilted just for him, it was a splinter under my skin. I sipped my drink, the bourbon burning my throat, and tried to drown the unease. She'd been distant for months, her texts curt, her nights at the university stretching past midnight. Research, she'd said, her voice clipped, her eyes avoiding mine. I'd rationalized it. Her dissertation was a beast, her focus a necessity. But standing there watching her orbit Marcus, I felt the ground shift beneath me. James, she called later, her voice honeyed for the crowd. Come meet everyone. I forced a smile, crossing the room, my shoes clicking on the polished floor. Marcus clapped my shoulder, his grip too firm, his eyes too knowing. You must be proud, he said, but his tone carried an edge like he was sizing me up. Emily's hand rested on my arm, but it felt performative, a prop in her perfect scene. I nodded, mumbled something polite, and excused myself to the bathroom, my chest tight with a nameless dread. In the stark fluorescent light I splashed water on my face, staring at my reflection, 38, graying at the temples, a man who'd given everything to a woman who no longer saw him. The warning signs had been there. Her late-night phone calls, the locked laptop, the way she flinched when I touched her. I dismissed them, clung to the lie that love could weather anything. But doubt was a slow poison, and it was spreading. Back at the party, I caught her slipping out to the balcony with Marcus. The glass doors muffled their voices, but her laughter, sharp, intimate, cut through. I stayed rooted, my heart hammering, until a colleague, Dr. Patel, nudged me. She's brilliant, your wife, he said, oblivious to my unraveling. But Marcus, he's got a reputation. Watch yourself. His words were a match to kindling, igniting every buried fear. I waited until the party thinned, the guests slurring goodbyes, before confronting her. She was in the kitchen, stacking plates, her gown discarded like a shed skin. Emily, I said, my voice low. What's going on with you and Marcus? Her hand stilled, but she didn't turn. Nothing, she said too quickly. You're imagining things, James. Her tone was sharp, dismissive, but her shoulders tensed, betraying her. Don't lie to me, I said, stepping closer, my voice cracking. I see it. The way you look at him. The late nights. Tell me I'm wrong. She turned then, her eyes cold, her lips a tight line. You're paranoid, she snapped. This is my night, and you're ruining it. But her defiance wavered, and in that flicker, I saw the truth she wouldn't speak. The divorce papers came an hour later, handed to me by a waiter she'd paid to deliver them. A public execution, wrapped in her triumph. Sign them, she said, her voice steady, her colleagues watching like vultures. You're holding me back. The room spun, the air too thick to breathe. I signed, my hand trembling, and walked out, her laughter echoing behind me. To losing burdens, she toasted, and I knew then. I was the burden. I left Tennessee that night, driving west until the road blurred into the horizon. I settled in a small Colorado town, a place of jagged mountains and quiet bars, where no one knew my name. I took a job fixing cars, my hands stained with grease, my mind numb. Emily's calls started a month later. Voicemails I deleted unheard. Emails I marked as spam. Letters I burned in the backyard. I wanted no piece of her, no explanation, no apology. The betrayal wasn't just Marcus. It was her cruelty, her public dismissal of our 12 years together. 3 years passed, each day a brick in the wall I built around my heart. I dated once a kind woman named Claire, but her touch felt foreign, her laughter hollow. I was a man half alive, haunted by the ghost of a marriage I'd believed in. Then, one gray November morning, a letter arrived. Not in Emily's handwriting, but from her university's alumni office. They'd tracked me down for a reunion event, my name still tied to hers in their records. Inside was a note from her, slipped in like a secret. James, I need to see you. Please. I was wrong. I burned it, but the words lingered, clawing at me. A week later, another came. Then a call from an unknown number. I let it ring, my pulse racing until her voice spilled into my voicemail. James, it's me. I messed up. Marcus was a mistake. I'm sorry. Please just talk to me. Her voice cracked, raw with something like regret, but I deleted it, my hands shaking. She didn't get to undo what she'd done. The calls kept coming, relentless, until one night I answered, my anger boiling over. What do you want, Emily? I growled, the phone cold against my ear. James, she whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't know. I thought I wanted freedom, but I was wrong. I miss you. I miss us. You don't get to miss me, I said, my voice low, venomous. You made your choice. You humiliated me. You laughed while I broke. I know, she sobbed. Marcus, he was nothing. A fling. I was lost in the pressure, the degree, the attention. I thought you'd fight for me. Fight for you. I laughed, bitter. You served me divorce papers at your fucking party, Emily. You called me a burden. I didn't mean it, she said, her voice small. I was cruel. I was wrong. Please let me make it right. I hung up, my chest heaving, her words a knife twisting in old wounds. But doubt crept in, her voice so broken, so unlike the woman who'd gutted me. I spent nights replaying our marriage, searching for the moment it fractured. Had I missed something? Had I failed her? The questions gnawed, but so did her betrayal, her public cruelty, an anchor I couldn't shake. A month later, I saw her name on a conference flyer in my mailbox. Another alumni trap. She was speaking in Denver, an hour away. Against every instinct I went, drawn by a need I couldn't name. The lecture hall was packed, her voice steady as she spoke about her research, her eyes scanning the crowd. When they found mine, she faltered, her words catching. After she approached, her face pale, her hands trembling. James, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You came. I don't know why, I said, my throat tight. You don't get to fix this. I know, she said, tears spilling. But I need you to know, I loved you. I still do. I broke us, and I'll carry that forever. I stared at her, the woman I'd loved, now a stranger with familiar eyes. The hall felt too small, the air too thin. You don't get to love me anymore, I said, turning away. But as I walked out, her sob echoed, and I felt it. A crack in the wall I'd built. A flicker of something like forgiveness, or maybe just grief. I drove back to my quiet town, the mountains looming like sentinels. Her words stayed with me, a weight I couldn't shed. Not love, not anymore, but the ghost of it, heavy and unrelenting.